Hey, what's up guys, Exalted here, and before I start the video, I just wanted to say that I'm officially sponsored by Elgato. I'm super excited for this. It's finally done. I've got my link, and speaking of link, please click the Elgato link in the description. I would really appreciate it. You don't even have to buy anything. Just click the link and then you can exit, maybe even do it twice. But it'll help me so that I don't lose my sponsorship. So I'd really appreciate if you guys went there and clicked my link. Also, a ton of you guys have been asking for my streaming setup. I've linked every single thing in my streaming setup in the description below. The biggest thing that stands out for me is my microphone. A lot of people ask for my microphone. It is a $30 microphone from Amazon. It's pink, it's actually sick, and it sounds absolutely beautiful. Finally, I would like to say thank you guys so much and shout out to the amazing people that use my supported creator code. You guys are absolutely amazing. I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without you guys. So if you guys enjoy these videos and you want to support me, it helps me out a lot. Please use code Exalted in the item shop. And yeah, for this video, I'm going to be explaining and giving you a bunch of different tips on how to find yourself with more successful results when it comes to endgame. I've got some really good tips in here, and I actually got the videos from my teammate Epic Whale, and that's what all these examples are going to be based off of. This is going to be the background gameplay. He got first place in the final, securing himself $50,000, so it's got really good gameplay, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, so for the first tip, we're going to be talking about rotation. Now, rotation is insanely important when it comes to endgame scrims. Rotation, like launch pads, will help you get to different parts of zones so that you can maybe make it to the next circle and start shooting players that are trying to run or go to high ground and start dominating high ground. There's other forms of rotation like rifts, which will help you delay time and then maybe possibly take high ground or reposition yourself. All these forms of rotation are really good because they help you get free movement that doesn't really require using mats. If you do it correctly, you will have very beneficial results, but if you do it incorrectly, you will notice that you're probably going to start getting lasered in the air and you'll die. For example, if you have 10 HP left, rifting is not a good option. Now, something that I want to specifically go over is, as you can see, Epic here, he is using his launch pads twice to get through one zone. This helps him out a lot when it comes to his mat count. He finds himself with a lot more mats because he's not wasting about 50 mats per square that he rotates. It also helps him a lot because it gets him into a position where he can shoot at players and he can start to get some kills. He goes through his 2 launch pads and he's got glider redeploys. Glider redeploys, after VOD reviewing a lot of the top players, almost every single person uses glider redeploys late game. Glider redeploys are so powerful. They help you rotate anywhere on the map. They're really good for mid-game rotations. You can just build up a little bit and start flying. They're super good for late game rotations. They're really quick and they can be used for a short period of time where you would be wasting a lot of mats getting to that same location. But then again, it will require a little bit of game sense to make sure that you're not getting lasered out of the sky. I highly suggest do not use glider redeploy right after you shoot at someone and grab their attention. You're going to want to go while other players are shooting at different people, because if you notice nobody is shooting, they're kind of waiting for someone to open up and they'll shoot at you. So if you hear a lot of shooting and commotion going on, it's a pretty good time to go. Hopefully you'll go under the radar and no one will really notice you. Finally, the final way of rotation, we've gone over launch pads and rifts and glider redeploy. You can also use a flintlock. Flintlocks are mainly used to prevent fall damage. These are really, really helpful when it comes to obtaining high ground and keeping high ground. You don't really have to worry about getting shot out because you can just flintlock. They're also really helpful for getting high ground. If you're on low ground, you can flintlock up a few stories and you should be good. You can move side to side in certain directions or forward and backward, but the reload time just doesn't really make it very worth it. Also, impulse nades. If you guys watched the last cup, you also saw a lot of players using impulse nades and they used them really well. They would use them to get up hills and mountains. They are insanely quick form of rotation, like insanely quick. One player actually had high ground and he started getting shot out and he threw an impulse nade and saved himself. It obviously looked like he knew what he was doing. I think he had practiced that, but impulse nades are very beneficial. It's almost like having 6 launch pads, because launch pads, you don't go very far towards the late games, and impulse nades can take you just as far as you need to go. So I highly suggest looking into using impulse nades, as they can be very, very beneficial. Next, I want to talk about repositioning your level when you're tunneling during scrims. scrims. So during scrims, a lot of newer players tend to make the mistake of, if they're on mid ground, if they're on a certain level, they will stay on that level forever. They won't go up, they won't go down, and this can cause a lot of issues. Going up and down can completely void any unfortunate scenario that you had coming in the future. Let's say you're in a situation where the zone's right behind you and you're trying to edit out so you don't get ticked by storm, and there's a player right in front of you. Tons of players, and it happens so many times, they'll take the edit, they feel like they're forced to edit, they'll edit open a door, and then they'll just get shot in the face, even though you saw that player right in front of you holding his pump out to your head and you were completely expecting it. Players will stay on the same level. You can do so many different things. You can go up a level. He could have just placed stairs and gone up. He would have been completely safe. Or he could have just edited him down. He could have edited himself down a level and been completely safe. I find a lot of success in scrims when anytime I get in a bad situation, I immediately build stairs and go up a level, or I drop down a level just by editing myself up or down through my roofs or through my floors. On top of that, when you are, even if you're not in a unsafe scenario, what you can do is you guys can still, if you're in a pretty neutral scenario, but you have a lot of health, you have really good shield, most players are pretty weak towards the end game. You can start to edit yourself down and kind of up and maneuver yourself between the different levels to see if you can get any free picks. A lot of low ground tends to be players who are weak and don't have a lot of mats. So you can definitely check out low ground, just be careful with people jumping out of ballers and shooting you. And hopefully get a really quick easy pump and then jump right back up to mid ground or high ground, whatever you feel. So overall, when you guys are in scrims, make sure you're not just staying on the exact same level. You will find yourself, if you are aware of what's above you and below you, you'll find yourself much more successful, especially when you start to play out ground above you and ground below you as well. Alright guys, so for the next few tips, I want to talk about being aware of above you and below you, specifically when you should be using floors and when you should be using pyramids. As you can see in this video, Epic is using floors, but he's not doubling his floors and pyramids. He does every once in a while when he needs extra support and he's like maybe weak and he's just trying to heal up, but usually he only puts one or the other down. Most of the time he is putting floors down, and he's constantly editing his floors, looking for low ground shots, looking for easy kills. And you can also see that he is adjusting his level in the sky. You can see that right in front of him was a player on a ramp with an edit waiting for him to edit through, and instead of doing what most players would do of edit through, he simply just dropped down, got a really easy kill on another player, and he was completely safe and good to go. Now if you're on high ground or low ground or mid ground, and there's a player above you and he is tarping out with just floors and no pyramids, this is a perfect opportunity to start using pyramids. If you can put a pyramid over an enemy's floor, and this will make it so that they can't edit down on you for an easy shot. This is also really good when you're using your pyramids as floors below you. If you're running on top of another player's tunnel, they could simply edit you down, place some traps, and get a really easy kill on you. Simply putting pyramids down would really protect you, and it'll also help you kind of manipulate the pyramids into certain ways so that you can go up by making it a ramp, or you can go down by editing it and breaking the opponent's ceiling below you. And overall, Epic was very, very careful with what he did when it came to floors and pyramids. I highly suggest you guys stop always spamming floor pyramid to protect yourself from above and below. Try to use those to your advantage. Try to play aggressive with those. Don't put pyramids if you don't have to, because you can edit those and try to get nice shots on other players or drop people into your box. Next, I want to talk about loadout. I was watching Tfue stream and I noticed a few different things. A lot of you guys might know of a pretty classic scrim loadout would go something like a pump shotgun and then a regular AR, not an AK. AKs are good for if you have an SMG with you because they do a lot of damage and their fire rate is decent, especially when it comes to blue. You can pretty much first shot accuracy almost every shot, so they can be effective, but they're not as effective late game scrims. That means that most compositions of loadout tend to consist of a pump, a regular AR, and then maybe a rift, some band-aids, and some minis. That tends to be the norm. Now, I was watching Tfue stream, and as you guys I'm assuming you guys know, he actually won East last weekend. what he was doing is he would start off with pump regular AR and then his other 3 slots, and he would play the game. And then once he started getting to late game, once it started to get to about the 6th to 9th zone, he would replace his AR with an SMG. After he would go for a kill and he would hope that the player had an SMG, and if they did, he would replace the AR with the SMG, and especially he would really prefer the silenced SMGs. What I noticed he was doing is I noticed that he was, he was playing really aggressive with the SMG. He wasn't actually shooting his pump very often. He was constantly using the suppressed SMG. He was shooting people, breaking through their walls, and they wouldn't really hear it because it's hard to hear and keep track of everything. So the players wouldn't really hear it very well. And he would end up getting a lot of damage and a lot of shots off. SMGs are obviously better for close range gunfights, so if you have the option, I've never thought about this, but when it gets to those late games, maybe drop low ground if you have some health, get a free kill on someone that's weak down low, and try to replace your AR with their SMG. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. And remember, if you did learn something and you want to support me, you guys can use code EXALTED in the item shop. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. Also, if you want more videos like this, I make tons of videos, so definitely hit that sub button. I would really appreciate that as well. With all of that being said, thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.